Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you how you can create this Lego bricks assembly animation with Legolizer. So stay tuned and let's get right into it. First we need to delete all of this, just like a normal Blender user, and add a torus. Right, so from here, do not click another thing and put on the major radius, like a radius of 0.5 maybe, and that's looking better. Okay. Now, of course, we have to add the whole Legolizer setup. So for that, Ctrl+Shift+A as usual, and then click on L. Right, so here we are. As you can see, it respected the original shape, but we can make it better by going to the Legolizer tab, and here on mesh resolution, we can increase this number like 150 maybe. We can also make this so that's better. Let me try with another number maybe. All right, now we're gonna do the whole animation process, but for that we need to add a camera. So let me search for a camera, and now let me move this on the y-axis, rotate it on the x, and click on 0, and I'm going to go here to view and lock camera to view, and then I'm going to move it. And I think this angle kind of looks really neat, so yeah, might leave it here. Good. So important that you disable this, because if not, you're going to move your camera and you don't want that. And next is the animation process. So we have to go to Legolizer and enable Lego bricks assembly. I'm gonna animate it on the y-axis, since this is the one that for me looks better with this precision of the camera. So I'm gonna put here the number 2, which means you can see here the y-axis, and I'm gonna move this slider up and down. Okay, so as you can see, the effect is happening, but as you can see, our first bricks are going to this side, but on the end to this side. You're gonna see how they change the direction. So if you like that, that's okay. You just have to put like a keyframe maybe here on number 1, and another when the job is finished, right up at there, and another one here. And as you can see, the effect happens. But in my case, I'm going to show you how you can do it so that the effect only goes in one direction, maybe this one, or rather this one, but only one. So let me first erase all of this and show you how it's done. So for that, we need to go to the bricks collections. We have to enable it, and don't be scared, we just have to pull this effector out of the collection and disable it again. So this effector is the one that controls the whole Lego bricks assembly effect. So this object controls the coordinates from where the effect happens. So for example, right now it's located at the center of the scene, so that's why when you pass this wall's origin, the animation, instead of going this way, sorry for that arrow, it goes this way. Let me show you. See how at this point bricks start to go that way. So I'm going to show you how you can change that. You just have to move this effector on the y-axis, or the axis you want to animate. And as you can see, if I press G and Y, it's not letting me move the effector. So that's because here in the transform, all the effector location is locked. So you have to enable it. And now if I move this a little bit farther away on the y-axis, now if I move this slider up, you can see it's only going in one direction. So that's the goal I wanted. Right, so let me add now our keyframes. our animation is going to be like 200 keyframes long, so we can crop it here 200, and then we have to move this slider until there's no bricks moving, which is here, and we can insert a keyframe, and then like about maybe here we can move this up until the whole bricks disappear. Okay, right away the insert keyframe. Okay, now with preview you can see it's a bit laggy, and we can fix that by going to playback, play every frame, and change it to frame dropping, and that way it kind of gets a bit less laggy, but still is a bit laggy. Alright, so now I'm ready to start texturing my donut. So for that I'm gonna move to render view, and as you can see this is like the basic material of Blender. It's not even the PBR plastic material, so I'm gonna select the PBR plastic material here, PBR like that, and make sure it's the same as here, which it is. For keeping things simple, I'm going to remove this subsurface strength, since I don't really want that realistic looking for this animation. And also for having a good lighting, I'm going to add an environment texture or an HDRI. So I'm going to go to the world, click on this yellow button and search for environment. Alright, there's the HDRI, and I'm going to modify it a bit. I'm going to press Ctrl T, pressing on the environment with the node wrangler addon, and I'm going to rotate this on 20 so that from the camera we have like not that much hard shadows, you know. Alright, so now I'm ready to start texturing. In this case we're not going to use these nodes because we are going to do all the texturing from scratch. So I'm going to search for an object info like this. And as you can see, this node provides me different index per brick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a layer of topping or icing here, you know, all of this. And below that is going to be the donut color and the donut part. So that's what I'm going to do. And for that, I'm going to use this location. I'm going to separate this info in 3 axes, and the one I'm going to do, since my donut is orientated this way, is the Z axis. So let's preview it with Ctrl Shift and click, and here we have, you know, like a gradient from black to kind of white. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to search for a math node, and I'm going to change this to greater than. Now everything's disappeared, and basically this gives me binary values. This means that values bigger than 0.06 are gonna turn completely white, and below that number are gonna be completely dark. And this is really useful for masking, so I'm gonna use this as a mask. But as you can see, it's completely straight, and it looks like too perfect for me. So I'm gonna add a nice texture in between, and now we've lost completely everything. So to have a bit of control on the noise, I'm gonna add a mixed color, and I'm gonna plug this location on the A and this color of the noise on the B. And also very important to change this to linear lights. And as you can see, now we kind of have what we had before, but different, you know. So we can control this by moving it down. Alright, so this is what I've ended up with. I'm gonna change this to like a 0.02, and that for me is looking a bit better. Yeah, so now I'm gonna duplicate this mix node. I'm gonna organize a bit, and I'm gonna change the blending mode to mix, and I'm gonna plug the greater than info into the factor of the mix. Basically the factor works as the mask, and I'm going to choose a color for the donut and another one for the topping. Alright, so something like this looking good. Now we can preview it from the camera. That's how it's looking. I'm actually going to do a thing, which is go here down to color management, and I'm going to change it to high contrast, and now that's looking better. And also I'm going to make my HDRI transparent so that we don't really get any distractions. All right, so here we have our two colors. I want to add some sprinkles on my icing, so for that I'm gonna use another socket from this object info node, which is the random one. So it's very important that you use this random socket instead of the location one, because the location depends on the actual location of the brick, so it's going to be different as the brick moves. So we don't want that. We want that the info is the same in the animation. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to search for a white noise texture, and this way we have a random value for each brick, which is great. And I'm going to duplicate my greater than, and I'm going to use it again as a mask. So basically this is going to control the amount of sprinkles on my topping. I think maybe like a 0.7 is going to look good. So I'm going to duplicate this again. I'm going to plug this here on the mix factor. I'm going to preview it, and I just have to change some colors. I'm going to drop this color here, and I'm going to change this sprinkles color to like pink, but maybe you want to add different sprinkle colors. So for that I'm gonna create like kind of a rainbow gradient, with the color ramp. There you go. And so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna plug this color into the factor of the color ramp, and it's really important now that you change your RGB mode to HSV and you change this to far. So now we put this, for example, a red color. You can see now it's doing kind of the gradient, but we have to change this again to red. And now we have our gradient that we can plug here. All right, so as you can see, now we have our sprinkles and we can plug them in the mix here. And also I want to add some variation to this donut color so that it's not just one plain color. So I'm gonna use a separate XYZ, and I'm going to use my different info from the x-axis, because the x-axis is basically the color info but in black and white data. So I'm going to use this z-axis, and I'm going to change this blend mode to overlay, and this way now we have some variation in the color. So I'm going to plug this again, and let's see how that looks, which is looking good. And let's preview it on the render view, and it's looking really nice. So now I'm gonna do some things on the background. I'm gonna add a plane, rotate it on 90 degrees. That's perfect. Let me preview this on the render view. Okay, so now we're ready to make the background. First, I'm gonna remove this, and I'm gonna add an emission shader. That way we don't get reflections anymore, no shadows, no reflections. So that's cool. And I'm gonna add a texture coordinate by pressing Shift A and looking like that. And I'm gonna use this object coordinates. Now what I'm gonna do is search for a vector math. Don't worry, this is pretty simple. This length creates like a range of 0 to 1. And as you can see, if I search for a map range and move the slider up, it's increasing the, basically this is what we're gonna use as a mask for the background. So I'm gonna add a mix color as well, plug this into the factor, and if I now change this to red, okay, so this is kind of what we want, but not in this way. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna preview this again. I'm gonna reset this. I'm gonna change this, and basically this flips the values. And a really good thing about using this map range is that we can get this smoother step. And as you can see, it gets a smooth fade from black to white, and we can preview it now. Of course the colors have flipped, but it's not a problem because we wanted that. I'm gonna preview it from the camera. You can see that this red point is not at the center of the camera, so we can actually guide ourselves by going to the camera properties, viewport display, composition guides, and center. Right now you can see that because I have disabled this. As you can see, this striped lines is the center of the camera, so we need to move the plane, origin, this orange dot, to the center, just like that. Or we can make a bit more precise. Okay, pretty cool. Now I'm gonna change this size. With this, you can control the size, and this is pretty nice. Also, I want this to be darker. Okay, so as you can see, this red color doesn't really match. I'm gonna choose some colors from here. This is a bit too much. Alright, so this is what I've ended up with. I think this color doesn't look bad. I'm gonna plug this color into the machine. And now we're basically done for shading. I'm gonna add some area lights. I think right here, because there's a bit too much shadow. I'm gonna search for an area light. Move it on the x-axis, rotate it on the y minus. Okay, right now you can really tell the difference. I'm gonna make this a bit brighter. Well, not that much. 50 maybe 20. Okay, that's very nice. And let me rotate it from the 3D cursor so that it kind of matches the shadow of the lighting. We can make it bigger, like 3, and we have to increase this maybe a bit less. Okay, right now I'm gonna check something because I don't know if bricks are gonna go through the plane. Hope they don't. Oh no, they don't. Right, that's cool. Actually, now that I'm realizing, you can see the donut appears and then disappears. I want to do it the other way, you know. I'm gonna flip the keyframes order, so I'm gonna move this down and this up. Okay, so now this is what I wanted. Okay, I'm gonna preview it. Yeah, it's looking cool. Now we're ready to click on render animation, but first we need to choose our directory for the frames because we're gonna render PNGs. All right, so in my case, I call it donut assembly, and now we have to decrease this to like about 50 and enable this denoise. So now we would be ready to render the animation, and after that we have to go to Premiere Pro to put together all the frames of the animation. So see you in Premiere. Here we are now in Premiere Pro. You could use any other editing software, but in my case I'll use Premiere Pro. First, before importing your PNGs, you'll have to go to Edit, Preferences, and click on Timeline. Once here, this brochure will pop up, and you have to change this still image default duration. Instead of seconds, you have to put it on frames and put 1 frame per image. This way, every image that we've rendered is going to be 1 frame long. So we'll click OK, and now we have to import our images into the timeline, just like so. And you can see now all the images are right about there. So now every image is 1 frame long. So we can preview it now. You can see that's what we've rendered. I ended up rendering it, sorry for that, I ended up rendering it with some motion blur because I think that's really convenient and looks really good. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna right click here, I'm gonna search for a new item and an adjustment layer. Okay, so I'm gonna add it now just by clicking and dragging, and I'm gonna make it longer until it matches the end of the animation, just like that. And I'm gonna do some color tweaking with Lumetri color. If this window doesn't appear to you, you have to go to Window and search for Lumetri color. Once here, we can tweak some colors. Perfect. So this is what I've ended up with. I basically tweaked some things. Basically, you can adjust this to your liking. In my case, let me show you, like, this is the before and this is the after. So that's all for the animation. Now we have to export it and we will be mostly finished. So this is the end of this video tutorial on Legolizer's Lego bricks assembly effect. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope I made myself clear during the whole video, and see you in further videos. Enjoy!